Would you rather? If you had a choice, Dad, I say, would you rather be eaten by ants or lions? It depends, he says. He's holding the sauce bottle up to his eye and peering into the neck of it like a telescope. Blast, he says. Blocked again. Language, says Mum. Blast is not a swear word, says Dad. It's not a nice word, says Mum. Well, I say, ants or lions? Dad puts down the bottle. He rubs his chin with his hands and frowns. I can't say I'm too keen on being eaten by either, he says. Can I have an injection to put me to sleep beforehand? Nope, you have to be conscious. In that case, I'll take the lions. If I have to experience pain, I'd rather it be short and sharp. Ants would take way too long. What if the lions were really old, though? And their teeth were all falling out and they just gummed you to death and it took ages and ages and ages. Do we have to talk about this while we're eating? Says Jen. It's important. You might be in a situation where you have to choose one day. You'd be a lot better off if you've already thought it through. You're right, says Jen, rolling her eyes. Dad is holding the sauce bottle at a 45-degree angle and poking into its neck with a knife. You'll cut yourself if you're not careful, says Mum. I'll be careful, says Dad. Dad, I say, trying to get him back on the topic. I wish Jen and Mum wouldn't interrupt. Dad gets distracted so easily. Ow! Dad slams the bottle down and drops the knife. He's shaking his left hand and grimacing. What happened? Says Mum. The knife slipped, he says. I told you to be careful. Use the barbecue sauce instead. I don't want barbecue sauce. There's plenty of tomato sauce. I just can't get it out. Forget the sauce, I say. Ants or lions? I told you. I'll take the lions, but I want good ones. Really hungry, really mean, and really quick. One swipe and lights out. No gumming. You can't make demands. You have to take what you get. Then I don't want to sign up. You already signed up, I say. It's ants or lions. If you don't want ants, then you must want lions. No, ants are out of the question. He turns the sauce bottle upside down and stands it on his plate. That will tip over, says Mum. I'm watching it, says Dad. That's what I'm worried about, says Mum. What's wrong with ants? Too slow. What if your body was covered in honey to attract as many ants as possible? Well, honey would attract sugar ants, and I wouldn't mind that so much, says Dad. They'll just eat all the honey and leave me alone. They'd be all over you, though. But they'd be after the honey, not me. No honey, then. You'll be covered in dog food instead, I say. Charming, says Jen. Could you pass me the salt, Andy? Say please. Please. Pretty please. Pretty please. Jen says it because she knows it's quicker to say it than to argue with me about anything. Pretty please with sugar on top, I say. Andy, just pass the bloody salt. Jen, says Mum. Language. Well, he wouldn't pass me the bloody salt. There's no need to talk like that. Jen looked at me through slitted eyes. I slide the salt grinder across the table. There you are, Jen, I say. Thank you. Don't mention it. You're welcome. Any time. If there's anything else you require, please don't hesitate to let me know. There is something else, she says. Anything, I say. Shut up. Jen, says Mum. Jen pokes her tongue out at me. I ignore her and turn to Dad. Well, how about it? Would you consider the dog food? But I don't want to be covered in dog food, says Dad. If I have to die, at least I want to die with a little dignity. But I thought you wanted to die quickly. I do. I'll stick with the lions. But if you covered yourself in dog food, I could guarantee you that the ants would finish you off 10 times quicker than even the most efficient lions. Now you're just being silly, says Dad, in a loud voice. He's getting heated up. You've got promises that you can't keep. I've seen lions. I've seen their claws. He curls up the fingers on his right hand to demonstrate a lion's claw. One swipe can break your neck. He swipes his arm across the table so that his claw goes within a centimetre of my nose. The sauce bottle goes flying. It clatters across the kitchen floor. It comes to rest next to the fridge, spinning slowly. I told you that would happen, says Mum, but Dad ignores her. Are you telling me that the ants would be able to kill me faster? You're assuming the lions will have claws, I say. Well, what do they have? No teeth? No claws? Are they blind, deaf, dumb, and paralysed as well? Why don't I just eat myself and save on them all the trouble? Now you're the one being silly, I say. Eating yourself is not an option. It's ants or lions. Dad shakes his head. He gets up from the table and picks up the sauce bottle. Jen screws up her face. The mashed potatoes taste funny, she says. What's wrong with them? Says Mum. It's sweet. Jen picks up the salt grinder. She examines it closely. Does this so look right to you? Says Jen. Pass it over here, says Mum. She holds the grinder up to the light. It's sugar, she says. Andy, says Jen. Yes, Jen, I say innocently. Did you do that? Do what? You know very well what. What? Fill the salt grinder with sugar. No, I say. It's not a lie, either. I only half filled it. Mum sighs. Go and get another serve, she says. There's plenty more in the pot. It's not the point, says Jen. He should be punished. Dad, Andy filled the salt grinder with sugar and now my dinner's wrecked. And there's no chance to escape? Huh? I'm talking to Andy. No, there's no chance. None at all. I poke my tongue out at Jen. Dad is more interested in my hypothetical than in her whinging. Well, that's not very sporting, says Dad. People don't want to go along and see a helpless person be eaten by ants and lions week in, week out. I would, says Jen, especially if it was Andy being eaten. Nonsense! You'd get bored. You wouldn't want to go to the footy to see the Blues thrash the Crusaders every week, even if you were a Blues fan. You need to give the underdog a bit of a chance to keep it interesting. Maybe, I say, but you're assuming it's a public spectacle. It's not. No, nobody's watching. It's just you and the lions, or the ants. Dad looks puzzled. Then what's the point? I don't know. But it doesn't matter. The point is to answer the question. I've answered your question. I say I'd rather be eaten by lions. Is that your final answer, I say? Yes, as long as they're efficient, I'll take the lions. That's not an answer. There's no guarantee. Dad picks up the sauce bottle again, turns it upside down and starts slapping the bottom with the palm of his hands. A couple of red drops splatter onto his plate and the tablecloth. You'll end up with sauce all over yourself if you don't watch out, says Mum. Jen, I say. Jen shoots me a mean look. If you're going to ask me whether I'd rather be eaten by ants or lions, then forget it. I'm not going to ask you whether you'd rather be eaten by ants or lions. Promise? Cross my heart, hope that I hope to stick a pin in my eye. Okay, what? Would you rather be eaten by lions or ants? Jen points her fork at me. You just broke your promise. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Now you have to stick a pin in your eye. No, I didn't. Jen gets up from the table. Where are you going? Says Dad. To get a pin, she says. Jen turns to me. Would you rather a long, sharp one or a short, blunt one? Nobody will be sticking pins in anybody's eyes at the dinner table, says Mum. But he broke his promise, said Jen. No, I didn't. I say. I promised I wouldn't ask you if you'd rather be eaten by ants or lions. But you did. I didn't. I asked you whether you would rather be eaten by lions or ants. Same thing, says Jen. No, it isn't. Is so? Jen, whether or not I broke my promise, and whether or not I would prefer a long sharp pin or a short blunt pin, or a short blunt pin or a long sharp pin, is irrelevant. The real question is whether you would rather be eaten by lions or ants. You broke your promise, she says, and you made me pour sugar all over my dinner. There's no point talking to Jen. She's too bitter. And Dad is too interested in the sauce bottle to give me a serious answer. That leaves only one person. What about you, Mum? What would you rather? Oh, I don't know. What don't you know? It's a very simple question. What more do you need to know? Well, why is it happening to me? What have I done? It doesn't matter. I think it does. If I'm going to be eaten by ants or lions, I want to know why. It's the choice that's important. But how can I make a sensible choice if I don't know why I've been put there in the first place? Am I being punished, or have I just been picked at random? Mum can be very stubborn. Okay, you're being punished. What for? Mum? Well, I need to know what I've done. That way I can decide whether the ants or the lions are the more appropriate punishment. But how does it change things? Well, suppose I committed a whole lot of small crimes. I think the ants would be the best punishment. But if I did something really bad, something really big, then I think lions would be best. Okay. But suppose you did lots of small crimes and a couple of really big ones then. What then? Well, then I think both ants and lions would be appropriate. But you have to choose one. But I would deserve both. But which one would you prefer? Prefer? I don't like the idea of either option very much. Here we go again. Cubs would be all right, though, she says. Huh? Lion cubs. They would be nice. They're very playful. But they're still going to eat you. But they do it in a playful way. That does it. I'm just asking a simple question. Slamming my fist on the table. Would you rather be eaten by ants or by lions? Why can't anybody just answer the question? Everyone is quiet. Everyone except for Dad. He's busy whacking the sauce bottle like his life depends on it, getting tomato sauce right this minute. Suddenly, sauce explodes from the bottle. It splurts onto his plate. The tablecloth is closed, down his shirt, onto his pants, all over the floor. He looks at Mum. "Don't say anything," he says. "I wasn't going to," she says. I can't help laughing. "What's so funny?" says Dad, wiping sauce out of his eye. "Did you have something to do with this?" Of course I did, but I'm not about to admit it. It's not fair. Why do I get blamed for every little thing that goes wrong around here? Because every little thing that goes wrong around here is your fault, says Jen. Punish him, Dad. He gets away with everything. Andy, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to think very carefully about the answer. Tell me, would you rather lose your pocket money for 1 week or do double chores for 2 weeks? But you're assuming I'm guilty, I say. I'm not assuming you're guilty. I know it. Now, what would you rather? Uh-oh. This is not right. I'm supposed to be the one asking the questions. Dad, before I answer, tell me one thing. What's that? He says. If you had to be squashed, would you rather be squashed by bricks or feathers? He frowns. Don't answer, Dad, says Jen. He's just trying to get you off track. Dad ignores Jen. Probably feathers, I think, says Dad. They're softer. But there will be enough to squash you, I say. Why not choose the bricks? They're not as soft, but it might be quicker. That depends. Would they be dropped all together or one at a time? Jen pushes her chair back loudly and storms off from the table. I don't blame her. We could be here for quite a while.